everyone! I just wrapped up watching Netflix Three Body Problem, and I gotta say, it's a pretty solid show. As someone who has been obsessed with Liu Cixin's books since I was a kid, seeing this epic tale finally make its way to the screen is like a dream come true for me. But as I was scrolling through Weibo, which is China's Twitter, and Douban, the largest sci-fi community, I couldn't help but notice a ton of negative reviews from Chinese audience. And this really got me thinking about the challenges of adapting such a beloved sci-fi classic for a global audience. So in today's video, we're going to dive deep into the intricacies of bringing the three-body problem to screen and explore why it has sparked such intense debates and polarized opinions among fans. Science fiction has a rich history in China spanning over a century, yet it has long been a marginalized genre. It was initially popularized through translations of Western authors during the late Qing dynasty as a tool to spur technological innovation and scientific progress. When the People's Republic of China was established, science fiction got heavily influenced by Soviet Union. It often aims to educate young readers or envision a communist future. During the Cultural Revolution, sci-fi writing was actually suspended for many years. It was not until the socio-economic reforms of the 1980s that catalyzed a new generation of Chinese sci-fi writers. Many of them embrace a more hard science fiction aesthetic to break free from the confines of children's popular science literature. Liu Cixin also started to write during this era. Born in 1963 in Shanxi province, China, Liu got assigned to work at a state-owned power plant after college, a common practice for Chinese students at that time. He spent the next 30 years as a full-time engineer while pursuing his passion for writing in his spare time. As Liu began to write in the late 1980s, it wasn't until 1999 that he published his first novella in a magazine called Science Fiction World. Over the next few years, Liu published numerous novels in that magazine, quickly becoming a fan favorite within China's sci-fi niche community. So Liu is known for infusing complex scientific topics such as quantum theory and astrophysics into his writing, along with grandiose world building and imaginative storytelling. In 2006, he published The Three-Body Problem, initially as a serialized fiction in the magazine, before expanding it into the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy in the following years. So The Three-Body Problem is the first installment of the trilogy, followed by The Dark Forest and Death's End. Set during China's Cultural Revolution, the story begins the launch of a secret military project aimed at establishing contact with extraterrestrial civilization. Ye Wenjie, a Chinese scientist, manages to send a message into the cosmos, which is received by an alien civilization on the brink of destruction, known as the Santi, or translated as Trisolarans in the book. The Santi, in search of a new home, resolves to invade Earth. The second and third book in the trilogy follows the story as Santi invasion fleet approaches Earth, dividing humanity into factions, some welcoming the aliens while others are determined to fight for humanity's survival. I still remember how the three-body problem was such a phenomenon in China when it was released. So Liu's work is credited with revitalizing and popularizing science fiction in China, inspiring a new generation of writers and readers. When Three-Body Problem was translated into English by another marvelous sci-fi writer, Ken Liu, the novel's success has extended beyond China, with avid fans such as Barack Obama and Mark Zuckerberg. The New York Times praised the trilogy, noting that it is likely to be a change of pace for sci-fi fans in the United States, where many leading contemporary writers in this genre are rejecting classic alien invasion plots in favor of those that take on real-world issues like climate change or shifting gender roles. In 2015, Liu Cixin became the first Asian author to win the Hugo Award. Yet this achievement highlights how science fiction has long been a Western-dominated genre, and in many instances that is still the case. As of 2019, The Three-Body Problem and its sequels have reportedly sold more than 9 million copies worldwide, solidifying its position as the best-selling Chinese science fiction novel of all time. Given the popularity and rich narrative, the three-body problem has inspired several transmedia adaptations, including a Chinese film announced in 2015 that never got released, allegedly due to its poor quality, an audio drama, two animation series, a video game, a stage play, and most recently, a television series developed by Tencent Video, one of China's largest streaming platforms. In 2020, Netflix announced that it had acquired the rights to produce the English language TV series adaptations, with Game of Thrones showrunner David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, later joined by True Blood writer Alexander Wu. So when Netflix announces the writers and producers are going to be D&D, we all know that something might go wrong. Remember what they have done to Game of Thrones? To be fair, they did a great job with purely adapting the iconic book series, albeit for only 6 seasons after burning it down to ash in the final 2. So Liu himself has been known to be quite open-minded towards adaptation. Although he has been a production consultant for the Netflix series, he did not get too much involved when it comes to the screenplay. As Liu said in an interview, quote, "I have great respect and trust in the creative team behind the English series of the Three-Body Problem, and I believe they will bring a series of wonderful visual experiences to the Three-Body Problem fans worldwide," quote end. Nevertheless, when the Netflix series finally came out, Chinese fans were still shocked by how much the show had deviated from the source material. Of course, they complained about why a group of scientists were drinking and smoking all the time, but in some people's opinion, it was how the novel culturally and thematically diluted in the adaptation that made fans quite outraged. So, how is the show different from the novel? Let's start with changes made to the key characters and their arcs. To begin with, the show draws on elements found in all 3 books that comprise the trilogy. As the show presents a group of main characters at the Oxford Five, they are loosely based on characters who never meet in the book. So, for example, Augie resembles Wang Miao, one of the primary characters in the first book. Wang is a nanomaterial researcher who starts to see a countdown. Similarly, Augie is working on developing nanofiber technology, that is, until she stops her research when she begins seeing a countdown in her field of vision. In both the books and the show, it is Wang Miao and Augie's nanofibers that get put to use slicing apart the Judgment Day in order to gain intel on the Santi. In the book, Wang Miao also begins playing an immersive video game about a world within a 3-star system. Wang Miao learns that the world and its inhabitants are real and is brought to an organization preparing for Santi's arrival on Earth. This part of storyline goes to Jane in the Netflix show. In the show, Jane is the one who plays the virtual reality game and discovers the truth about Santi. Wang Miao's side Jane more precisely corresponds to the character Chen Xing, who doesn't appear until Death's End, the 3rd book in the series. So another character is Will Downing. Will has quit research to become a 6th form physics teacher until he receives a terminal cancer diagnosis. A similar character to Will, Lin Tianming, as well as the Staircase Project, was part of the 3rd book. Another major character is Soul. Soul's character is based on Luo Ji, the protagonist of the 2nd book. Luo Ji is named as one of the Warfacers, a position created by United Nations that gives 4 individuals unlimited power to fight the Santi. I'll stop here, but this gives you a general idea of how the show has combined and rearranged characters. Due to the differences between the pacing and structure of a novel and a TV series, it is quite understandable that some characters may be condensed or expanded to fit the narrative flow of the adaptation. Also, since Netflix is producing an English language adaptation, I actually appreciate the cosmopolitan perspective the writers bring to the show. Some characters' names, backgrounds are adjusted to better suit an international audience. Therefore, the central question is whether the updated characterizations stay true to the spirit of the original novel. The adaptation chooses not to follow the publication order, which is a reasonable idea. Instead, it brings together the main characters from 3 books and places them in the same setting, where they know each other and are good friends. In some cases, to me, this is reminiscent of the Avengers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the team from Stranger Things. For many book fans, the original characters fought against the Santi in their respective eras and backgrounds without having too much connection. It is more of passing the torch to the next generation to save humankind, and this is exactly what makes the Three-Body Problem a story about humanity as a whole, as news writing focus more on the big picture than a character-driven narrative. And that is where the adaptation makes a profound change. The TV writing is much more dramatic by forming a close-knit group, aka the Oxford Five, which pulls in all of these different storylines into one emotional core. Nevertheless, the character development feels rushed as the series condenses the story to fit a limited number of episodes. For example, one comment even questioned the chemistry between the characters, stating, I can't even understand why these people would be friends, let alone imagine how they would represent different aspects of the original character. Furthermore, although the series keeps the beginning intact, a powerful scene in the 1960s Cultural Revolution, which leads to Ye Wenjie's disillusionment with humanity, the rest of the series moves to present-day England, separating the setting from the original context. From there, the series suddenly shifts to a more Western-centered global perspective. Ye becomes an immigrant scientist, and the rest of the protagonists are young Oxford graduates who come from different countries. Until here, I realized that Netflix Three-Body Problem brings a really interesting case to contemplate transcultural adaptation in the streaming era. So this is not the first time Netflix worked on a non-English IP. Indeed, Netflix has been widely recognized for its heavy investment in local originals. For example, Lupin is a modern retelling of classic French story about a gentleman thief. Money Heist is a Spanish crime drama that has gained worldwide popularity. Dark is a German sci-fi thriller exploring time travel and interconnected relationships. And more recently, Squid Game is a dystopian drama series where contestants play deadly games for a large cash prize in South Korea. This series became popular not only in their domestic markets but also on Netflix platform all over the world. But the adaptation of the Three-Body Problem is a different story. Because China has strict regulations on foreign media and content providers, Netflix has never been able to penetrate the Chinese market. By 2016, China was the only major country left off the Netflix global coverage map. The other Netflix territories, Iran, North Korea, and Crimea, were affected by US trade sanctions. In addition to the regulatory challenges, the highly competitive nature of China's streaming ecosystem has also made it difficult for Netflix to establish a presence in the country. Dominant players in the market, including streaming platforms operated by tech giants Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, have left little room for Netflix to make an impact. In fact, Tencent Video also released their own Three-Body Problem adaptations last year, which is now available on Prime Video for US audience. Therefore, the adaptation of the Three-Body Problem provides a unique scenario. The series is not designed to cater to its largest group of fans, but to a global audience outside China. The adaptation of the Three-Body Problem is also different from Hollywood's previous remix of foreign language content, such as the whitewashing allegations in the 2017 Ghost in the Shell or cultural appropriation in many Disney projects. On the one hand, the underlying message in Liu's writing resonates beyond Chinese context and could be easily adapted elsewhere. As Liu himself said, quote, I don't think the global success of the Three-Body Problem book is due to the fact that it is a Chinese science fiction novel, but rather the fact that it is a book that treats human beings as a whole. On the other hand, to what extent can a sci-fi novel that is rooted in Chinese history and culture be adapted to another context? What essential elements should be preserved and what can be eliminated in order to tell a global story? After reading tons of reviews and comments on both Chinese and American media, I realized how we need to go beyond the classic dichotomies of the original and adaptation, and by implication of us versus them. For example, CNN recently published an article titled Netflix blockbuster Three Body Problem Divides Opinions and Sparks Nationalist Anger in China. The article says, instead of pride and celebration, the Netflix series has been met with anger, sneers, and suspicion in China. The reactions shows how years of censorship and indoctrination have shaped the public perspective of China's relations with the outside world. They don't take pride where it is due and take offense too easily. They also take entertainment too seriously and history and politics too lightly. By summarizing the negative reviews from Chinese audience simply as nationalist anger, I find this comment also falls into the pitfalls of us versus them. Except for the nationalist sentiment, there are audiences who simply dislike the pacing of the show or get angry about how Netflix plays down with physics concepts or find the visual effects not live up to their expectations. After all, we know that adaptations have always been controversial. Although being faithful to the source material or not is never the sole metric engaging an adaptation, there will always be pushbacks from fans. For many people, books may even just be better for imagination. While the series has faced criticism for its deviations from the book and potential loss of cultural nuance, it has also opened up a wider discussions about the challenges and opportunities of adapting beloved works for a global audience. Ultimately, the success of this series will depend on its ability to resonate with viewers, both fans of the original novel and those discovering the story for the first time. So, have you watched Netflix Three Body Problem? Did you enjoy it? Did the adaptation live up to your expectations? Please let me know in the comment section below so we can let the conversation continue. Although the season 1 adapted all of the first book and a few chapters from book 2 and book 3, chronologically speaking, there are still millions of years left in the timeline for the book. So I hope the show can get renewed by Netflix, and I can't wait to see season 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!